Hi, it's David Samuyiwa, and it's a beautiful day in Gothenburg, Sweden. It's been beautiful weather these last few days, and yeah, it's great to be out. It's great to be outside and filming outside. Makes a change from being inside all the time. Yeah, you know, always talking about sports performance, how to increase sports performance. You know, I work a lot with young athletes, especially these days, and I'm always getting these questions from parents like, you know, when should their kids start with strength training? Obviously there's a little bit of the fear factor surrounding strength training for kids. When I say kids, I mean young teenagers, because obviously people are worried about getting injured or obviously starting off too young. But let's get some facts that from the minute a baby starts to crawl, he or she is working with strength training. You know, from crawling to walking, it's all about building stability in the body, building strength in the body, so you can go from crawling to walking, and then go from walking to running. So, you know, strength training basically starts from when the child starts to crawl, basically. You know, from the minute the child can push himself up and start to crawl around, that's strength training, you know. So by talking obviously from a sports performance perspective, I would say that I tend to start to work with strength training from the age of 10, 11 years old. I think it's a good time, because I think there you need to teach the basic biomechanical movements of certain exercises that will take, you know, that will be beneficial for that athlete later on in the future. So obviously getting the coordination right, getting the movements right, getting the young athlete's brain to understand and connect with how the body should move doing certain exercises is always great to start from when they're young. So doing basic exercises that are, well, we say they're basic, but they're also very advanced when they get older. Like just teaching a kid how to bend down and pick up a very light object. That's like what we would call a squat or a deadlift. Working with the kids' body weight. It's a great way to start strength training. You know, doing push-ups, doing stuff like the plank to build core stability, to build upper body strength. You know, so I mean, these things you teach when they're young. This is strength training. So obviously you adapt the exercises to the level of the athlete you're working with. So obviously we know that some kids are coming to puberty quicker than others, but that doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't start with strength training. You start the strength training, for me, when they're 10, 11 years old, doing the basic exercises and then building them up so that later on in the future, they can start to take those basic exercises into more advanced exercises. But I think the picture that a lot of parents get in their brain is, okay, right, strength training, they start immediately to think of like heavy weights, you know, bodybuilding or powerlifting and all these kind of things. No. I mean, this is just a misconception. A little bit of ignorance there also. It's just a misconception. Ignorance not meaning in a negative way, but just that they lack the knowledge of what a strength and conditioning coach or a sports performance coach like myself would do. We'll basically look at the athlete we're working with, look at the sport they're working with, and then connect exercises that are relevant to that sport and relevant to that child's age. So there'll be a lot of testing done before, well, I'll say obviously for me as an expert in this area, we do a lot of testing first to make sure that the child, or not the child rather, the young athlete is ready to start to do some strength exercises. And if they're not ready, then we'll start to do some coordination exercises. But you know, so strength and conditioning, or what we call sports performance, has many facets to it. But when we talk about strength training, there's a little bit of insecurity, which I can understand, obviously, but it's nothing to be worried about. When you come and work with a professional like myself, obviously we will do what we call an assessment of the young athlete. We'll do a screening to make sure that they're obviously capable of doing exercises that we want to do. And there's no rush. You know, a young athlete's going to have like the next 20 years to work with their strength training. So it's all about stepping stones. You start on the first step of the ladder and then you climb up bit by bit. There's no rush. There's no need to rush the process. The process is you know, the journey to getting to optimum performance is a process. And during that process, we will mostly make the right programs to suit that athlete at that time, at that age, for that sport. So I mean, when they should start strength training? As soon as possible. From 10, 11 years old, you start to build the base. You start to build a foundation for which you could build upon later on. Okay, so using functional piece of equipment like a medicine ball, like sticks, technique sticks, like using kettlebells, light dumbbells, you know, using a person's body weight, using like elastic bands, these kind of things, all what we call resistance training. So we don't have to work with, machines, we don't work with, you know, the Olympic bars. No, we're building a foundation first, and building also the understanding between coach and athlete. So we know, so the athlete trusts the coach and the coach knows that the athlete can do certain exercises because we've gone through that stepping stone, we've gone through that process. So strength training is a crucial element for performance when it comes to working with sports. You cannot miss it. It's crucial, and it's crucial that it started earlier rather than later, because earlier you start, earlier you can build a foundation. I work with some athletes now who are 16, 17, 18, and the fundamental, the base for strength training isn't there because they haven't been doing it when they were younger. Then I work with some athletes who are, you know, the same age, 16, 17, 18, and the stuff I can do with them is much more advanced compared to the other 16 or 17, 18-year-olds because they have had some foundation from previous coaches or from from school. And obviously, when it comes to the school, you know, perspective, you know, back in the days when I was going to school, the physical education was physical education. You know, we did squats, we did push-ups. You know, physical education. So we got a very sound base from school. Now, obviously, when the school system has changed, there's not so much physical activity or physical education. And I said, the sooner you start, the better. But you must be working with a professional. Always work with a professional. Don't think that, like I had one of my friends who I work with, who his kid that I work with is 13, 14. You know, sometimes some kids feel, or you know, some of these young athletes feel that, okay, they can be with me for 6 months and then that's all they need and they're set for life. No, come on now. It's like going to school. You go to school, you learn in kindergarten, you learn something. What you learn in kindergarten is not sufficient for you to learn, it's not sufficient enough learning for you to last the whole of your life in your education. You know, it's just a start. So when you work with me for 6 months, I'm building the base. When you're that young, I'm building the base. And that base is going to give us the capability to do more advanced stuff later on as you get older. I'm just building the base. So it's like whenever you go up the steps in education, you always get new learning. It's the same thing with strength training. When you get older, you get stronger. We can now build on the base. So it's a never-ending learning process. You know, you can always develop. And like I said, just to round up this short message, strength training is crucial to sports performance. And the sooner you start with a qualified expert in that area, the better your sports performance will be. So listen to what I'm saying now. Take this knowledge and use it, because the sports world is very competitive. And if you're missing the strength training, it's going to be very hard to succeed. So like it says on my t-shirt, it says, you read there, hard work pays off. It does. Consistent hard work. You must do the work all the, you must do the work all the time. You can't just do it to, okay, I'm going to do my strength training session today, but I'm going to miss it for next week. No, you can't carry your strength for the rest of your life. You've got to continuously work hard consistently over a long period of time, and then you will see results over a long period of time. So hard work pays off, guys. So like, you know, get into the strength training, get with the right program, get with the right trainer, get with the right coach, and you'll see your sports performance, your performance in sport, you will see increase, and as you increase your intensity of your strength training. So take care, guys, and we catch up soon again. Cheers.